Hi guys, thank you for joining me here on my channel today and for this video, which is going to be my very first ever project pan update. Yeah, this year I'm doing a panning 23 in 23. So I have 23 products that I want to give updates about. I've made some good progress in most of these things. We even have some empties to share, so that's really fun. But first, I want to just say thank you so much, Stacy from Stacy Lee Beauty. She's a fellow YouTuber who reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to collab on this video. This is my very first ever collab, which I was really excited to do with her. I really enjoy her channel. I think you might too. If you're into fashion and beauty over 40, I think you will love her channel. So go check out her channel. I will have her video and her channel linked down below in the description box of this video. Make sure you tell her hello and that you're from my channel if you're new there. She does a lot of beauty and fashion over 40, which is really fun. She does this really great monthly series called The Look for Less, and I really enjoy that. So if that sounds like fun to you, check those videos out for sure. But she also likes to do some deep dives into brands and some of the different countries that she's visited and things like that. So I've really enjoyed a lot of her content. I think you might too. So go check her channel out if you haven't already. Thanks so much, Stacy. Really had fun collabing with you on this video. So let's go ahead and get into the updates now. So if you recall, I wasn't sure about this primer. I wasn't really much of a fan of it at the time when I first started using this product, but as I used it more and more, I started to dislike it a little less. So I like this a little bit more. I wouldn't repurchase it, but I did find out through this project, this product expires really quickly. This has a 7-month shelf life and I used it for about 9 months. And I noticed my face was getting pretty itchy for like a couple of months. I honestly thought it was the foundation that is coming up next in one of the updates. So I really thought that's what my skin was reacting to. But it turns out that it was the expired primer that was making my face itch, not that foundation. So I do enjoy this product, but unless you're going to use this every single day, I would say it's a little too expensive for me to repurchase because it doesn't do enough for me. I don't like to use it every day because oftentimes I prefer a primer that has pore blurring effects. It also helps to blur some of my fine lines. I am in my mid to late 40s, so that's just a natural part of life, which I have no problem with. I'm not here trying to hide any of that. It's just I would like to, just look the best I can. And I feel like this regular primer doesn't really do that. Once I figured out this was expired, it wasn't completely empty, but I did roll this out and I rolled in this mini of the Rare Beauty Pore Blurring Primer that I really enjoy. I used this thing up completely during that time. So, and these things aren't small. They hold, I think I used this for at least 4 weeks. Maybe 2 to 3 weeks, but I got a lot of use out of this and it is an empty. So after I rolled this one out, I rolled in my big one. This is my very first ever Rare Beauty product to purchase. So I'm really excited to finally have gotten to use it. I had been sitting on it for a couple of months trying to get my other primer used up. So that was why I put it in this project. But now I'm using the Rare Beauty primer and I'm so happy to have this now as my focus primer. As for the eye primer updates, if you'll recall, I will see if I can figure out how to insert a photo here of how the paint pot looked when I started this project. But I don't really have I don't really have fancy editing skills or software, so that might not work for me. But if you saw the picture, then I was able to figure it out. If not, please make sure that you check the video that's up in the eye and down below in the description box if you want to see where we started off on the primer if I wasn't able to insert the photo. But let me show you where we're at. I have an empty paint pot here. This is my second paint pot to purchase and my first paint pot to ever finish. So I felt really proud of this. So this got rolled out. Oh, geez. Then I rolled in this Nars Budge Proof, what? Nars Tinted Smudge Proof, the Smudge Proof Tinted Eye Base. That's what it is. The Nars Smudge Proof Tinted Eye Base. I rolled this in the place of the MAC paint pot once that emptied out. But after a couple of, it didn't even take a full 2 weeks, but after about 10 uses with the palettes that I already know and love and am very familiar with, I realized this primer doesn't really do very well for performance of shadows. It makes the shadows not last very long, and I don't normally have that problem with Pat McGrath or Natasha Denona. I would find, which is what I was using when I tried this, I would find a lot of bald spots would come up with this eye primer. So I still have a lot of product in here, but I don't like this. And I don't hate pan. I only want to use products that I love and enjoy and that perform. So this is getting rolled out, even though it's pretty full. And in its place, we've got a new paint pot. This is my favorite eye base. I use it almost every single time I do my eyeshadow. Today is the exception. Few, like certain Natasha Denona palettes, I can use without primer, but normally I just always use eye base. So this is where we're at now. I have been using this paint pot for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I haven't done my eyeshadow every single day within that time. So I have a little bit of use going in this, but it's essentially a brand new paint pot that I'm rolling in. For the last of the eye base updates, I think that all that squeezing and, you know, going like this to see how much product I had left in my intro video might have busted the seal here, because this was still pretty full. I mean, it does have some good air, but as you can see, it still has a lot of product. And I ended up having to get a replacement. So because this broke, I'm rolling this out. I did get a replacement, but I think I'm going to make a judgment call and take this out of the project completely, because I feel like it's not fun to keep up with. You can't really see any of the progress. So in its place, I'm going to roll in my Under Makeup moisturizer, because I do like to use this and I want to keep up with how long it takes me to go through it. I have started using it. I've used it maybe it's been about 5 times now that I've put on a full face of lotion with this. And when I say a full face, I mean, you know, down to here. So this is where we're at. We're starting really high. Okay, next, let's move on to foundations. Starting off with this Wet n Wild foundation. Last year, this ranked my favorite drugstore foundation, and it actually was my top foundation towards the end of 2022. A lot of that has to do with the shade match, as well as the performance of the product. Because there were some other high-end formulas that I purchased last year that I really enjoyed, but I didn't like them as much as this, because this was a better shade match for me than that one, if that makes sense. Doesn't necessarily mean that this was the best product compared to those others, but it was best in all categories overall. It's really hard to love the way a foundation looks on you when it's a significantly different color than your skin. At least that's what I find. And with my unique undertone and the fact that my undertone does flip-flop from one part of the year to the next, I go from a warm undertone to a slightly cool undertone, or a more neutral leaning undertone, depending on how tan I am. It makes it really hard for me to find foundations that match. That's my Shih Tzu snoring. I love him. He's so cute. He snores in the background of my videos. I hope you don't mind. Anyway, that was a whole lot to talk about this foundation. Anyway, this is no longer my favorite drugstore foundation. It's still good. It's still good, and it's a top amongst my drugstore faves, but this is definitely expired. It smells like fresh paint, which means it's definitely gone off. So I have it started off at about here when I began the project. And it looks like we're about right here. So it looks like we're about right in there. So I got some good use out of this before it did expire. But the thing about this is that it's hard to know, since it doesn't come in a sealed package, it's hard to know if you're getting the full shelf life of the product once you open it as you've purchased it, because you don't know if somebody opened it in store before that, you know? So that's where I don't like this type of foundation very much, as far as, I just wish it was in a sealed container somehow so that you could buy it fresh. Anyways, all that to say, this Wet n Wild Matte Photo Focus Foundation in the shade, whatever that is right there, not sure if you can see it, in that shade. This is expired and this is getting rolled out. I'm going to replace it with my current drugstore favorite foundation. This is the Believe Beauty. You can see I've already gotten a lot of use out of it. The line is about right there. The line is at about the top of this white sticker. If you can see through that right there, I don't know if the light is making it hard to see, but I can see, yeah, it's at the top of the sticker. So I've already gotten a good amount of use out of this foundation. I have a dedicated video to this if you want to hear my full thoughts and reaction to it, but I'm going to roll this in so that I can get some use out of it. I really like that it's a sealed bottle and it has a pump. This is a beautiful formula. The Wet n Wild formula is made in Mexico. This one is made in Italy. So nice. Shockingly nice. I'm rolling this one in place of the Wet n Wild. The next foundation is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk. I have the mini, and I did get this when Sephora was having 20% off their select foundations. They were, or I think it was all foundations. And so I decided to go ahead and try the mini, and I got 20% off price. We started off with it right here. You can see now that I have used it to about right there. I'm so glad that this was in the project, because that's how I figured out that I don't have a problem with the slight bit of synthetic fragrance that's in this formula. It was the Tatcha, the expired Tatcha, that was making my face itch around here. So it wasn't this after all. So I am going to leave this in the project because I want to continue to get some good use out of it. And this is a beautiful, beautiful finish. So now that I know, it is a little bit too light for me right now, but I can make it work with bronzer and stuff. So for now, I'm going to keep this in the project and try to get a little bit more use out of this before I start getting darker and darker, since we're in the spring now and I'll start getting a tan really soon. So this one's going to stay in here, and I've got some good progress on that. The third foundation, the last foundation in this project, is my Nars Light Reflecting Foundation. Let's see, where's my usage line? Right there. You can barely see that red mark. Can you see? I don't know if you can tell. It's like a red and a black line right there. Well, anyways, you can tell that there is a significant space from the foundation to that line. So I've definitely gotten some good use out of this foundation. But I am going to roll this foundation out. It's just a little bit too finicky for me as far as how I have to apply it. I do have a video explaining what I mean about that. So I'll leave that up here in the eye and down below in the descriptions. Check that out when this video is over if you want to. But yeah, because of what I talked about in that video, this is just a little bit too finicky for me to have to use. It's still a beautiful foundation and I love it. I do recommend it to most people. But if you have a lot of fine lines here around your mouth, I don't think this one's going to work that well for you unless you follow the tips that I discovered, which are in that video that I just mentioned. So anyways, because of all that, what's it called? Not pull it out. Roll. Sorry, I'm still kind of getting my feet wet with this project stuff, this panning project lingo. So I'm going to roll this foundation out. And in its place, I'm going to put in my Pat McGrath, my newest Pat McGrath foundation. This is the lighter one. Here's the first one that I had. And you can see that in last year's project, that's where I started with the usage. I do have a little bit of usage to about right there now, I would say about right here. but this is too dark for me for right now because I'm coming out of winter and I haven't yet gotten my summer tan. So that's not the one that I want to focus on. Let me tell you what shade that is. This is in shade Medium Light 14. Is that 14 or 16? Oh, it's 14. This is in shade Medium Light 14. It's a little bit too dark for me. This is the shade Medium Light 10. This is Medium Light 10. The shade is a slight bit too peach, but not as much as the Hourglass foundation was, which if you didn't see that try on video, that'll be down below if you're curious. But I no longer have that foundation because of what went down in that video. Anyways, this is not as peach as the Hourglass was, so I can really make this work, especially right now while I'm light. And I do like the way that the peachiness effect of this works with my freckles, the color of my freckles. Doesn't, like, it keeps them from looking gray coming through the foundation. So it gives them more of their like natural hue somehow. I'm not sure. But anyway, this is pretty full. I haven't had it very long. The fill line is barely at the like top of the corner. So I have a good ways to go to show some progress in this one. But this is the foundation that I am wearing today. So this is what it looks like. I do have a fair amount of bronzer on, not my Charlotte Tilbury one, so I don't look super chiseled, but I've got the Nars Laguna bronzer on today over this foundation. So I want to get a lot of use out of this foundation. I really like it a lot. Don't like it quite as much as the Believe Beauty, but it's still pretty good. So I'm rolling this one in place of the Nars foundation. Okay, I'm going to have to like chill with the extent of the updates because, okay, girl. Yeah, earlier when I mentioned I put this in place of the NYX primer, scratch that. Although this would be fun to track the usage of, I am going to use it every day, and I pretty much know how much it lasts, like how long it lasts me, so I'm not going to put a skincare in here. What I meant to say was I'm going to put in my second Pat McGrath powder. So I'm rolling in this new Pat McGrath powder in place of the NYX Glitter Primer. But here's the Pat McGrath powder. But here's the Pat McGrath powder that was already in the project. Look at how flat that is. It was relatively high dome still when I started it, and you can see there is a lot more usage in here. Now, because of this project, I realized this is too dark for me. The medium, this is in the shade medium, and this was my first time to buy the Pat McGrath under eye setting powder. So I really didn't understand that even though it looks as light as it does, it still comes off with some tan. I do have this on my face today. I no longer, hold on, I have a hair stuck to me. I no longer use this under my eyes because again, it's too dark for me, but I do like the way it looks for the rest of my face. So after I've put on my foundation, I will put on my concealer and then set my eyes with this new one that I'm rolling in place of the NYX Glitter Primer. This is the translucent shade. It has the limited edition packaging from the Chinese New Year. This is what my thing currently looks like. There's a tinge of tan on here from my dirty brush, but it usually looks more white than that. Anyhow, you can see that it's still a very high dome, okay? It's like a very high dome. It's practically full. I haven't had this very long, but I have been using it. So anyway, these are the two powders that I'm going to be using, and this is where we're at currently on the size of them. And I've gotten a lot of use out of them. The other powder that I have in the project is this CoverGirl Clean Fresh Pressed Powder. I did mention in that video that I did mention in my intro that I don't like this puff. So I ended up buying a puff, and I really, really like the way that it looks with the puff. So here's the usage that we're at so far. You can see it looks like I'll be hitting some rings soon, showing some pan somewhere in there. But here's what the inside of the compact looks like. I'm not sure if you can tell. by how much pink you can see of the compact that there's some good usage going. So I'm going to keep working on this. For the last of the powder and then heading into the blush and bronzers is the Hourglass palette. This is my first Hourglass palette. Through this project, I've learned how to use the powders now. So this is what my palette currently looks like. Let's see if I can show you that you can see the powders are starting to kind of flatten out. Can you see that? Especially this blush here and this dim light here in the middle, or whichever color name that is in the middle. And yeah, I've got a little ridge starting to go in the highlight, but yeah, I'm showing some good usage. I can't wait to hit pan eventually. This is staying in the project and I'm really enjoying it. Okay, let's go to the highlighter and then we'll go to the blush and bronzer. Here is my Natasha Denona highlighter. You can see that the concave, the dome that was sticking up in the middle is almost flat. Look at that. You see that? I still have the, hold on, let me show you this way. I still have the ND visible because I've only been scratching in the middle. This is staying in the project. For the bronzer, I was using my Nars Laguna bronzer, and you can see I've got, you can see here that I'm showing some good usage in there, but still no official pan. But that's what the dip looks like. You can see there's like more usage on this side. Yeah, so I've really been enjoying this bronzer. This is the bronzer that I have on today. So staying in the project. The other bronzer in the project is the Charlotte Tilbury Cream Bronzer. I have the shade 2, and this is what mine currently looks like. You can see I've gotten a lot of use out of that. You can hardly see the rings anymore, and it looks like the middle part of my compact has more of like a dip down into it. So maybe I'll be hitting pan soon, but so far no pan. This is staying in the project. For the last blush compact, I have this Nars Basic Instinct 2 Cheek Quad. This is the one that has the warm tones, the slightly more warm tone blushes. The red, I've gotten so much use out of this red. I'm surprised by how often I use this, and I use the this mauve a lot as well. I have gotten a little bit of use out of the tangerine one and the pink blush as well, but I am going to roll this palette out and replace it with the other Nars compact. And that's because although pink used to be my signature blush color, everybody else was wearing more of like a peach blush at that time. And so now that everybody has been wearing pink and it's like the trend, I find that I don't wear it very much anymore. As such, I need to get some use out of this palette, so I'm going to roll this palette in place of the colorful one, because I find that I actually reach for this red blush a lot, especially with my dramatic eyeshadow looks. So I feel like I'm still going to get a lot of use out of this palette just naturally, and so I need to try to get some use out of this one. So the Basic Instinct 1 is the one that's getting rolled in. And I forgot to talk about my brow stuff when we were doing the eye base, but this is what I originally started off with in the project. It was 3/4 the size of my pinky when I started, like the top of my pinky, when I started the project, and now it's at about half. So I feel like I've used about 25% of this product, but I actually stopped using it for about 2 months. Because I remembered after stopping this, right after I started this project, like a couple weeks in, I thought to myself, I should have put this one in since I was almost finished with this. And I decided to roll this one in instead. Like I rolled out the ABH one and rolled this one in and then finished this up. I had just the teeniest, tiniest little like nub left in here, and it was really hard to even get it to lift, but then it fell out, and so it is completely empty now. So I finished up a brow product in this project. After that happened, I rolled my ABH back in. So I'm again working on this to finish it up, and I've made some good progress, but as you can see, I have pretty thick brows, so I don't use a lot of this. I've had this already for over a year, possibly a year and a half. So I really want to get this finished and out of my collection. So I'm still focusing on it. For the brow gel, I had the Patrick Ta, whatever this one is called. And this one is more of like that gel in this kind of a comb. I do like the brush applicator itself, but I don't like the goopy gel. And I don't like the way it looks in my brows after it's finished. But wait, I don't like the way it looks in my brows after it's finished, and it kind of leaves them crunchy feeling, and I don't really like that. So I decided I didn't like this product anymore, and I rolled this out and picked up the Benefit Fluff Brow Wax when it first came out. I do have a video with this. I'll leave that down below if you want to check it out. It is what I call my brow video, so I've also gotten, because it's my current brow routine, and I have gotten some questions in the comment section of some of my other videos about my brows and like what I do or whatever. So I try to leave that video in most of my description boxes just in case anybody's curious, but I'm rolling in the Fluff Up Brow Wax in place of the Patrick Ta. I really enjoy this product. I do have it on today. Okay. On to eyeliner. This is the eyeliner, my liquid liner that I have in the project. I put the brown one in because I naturally gravitate towards black wing liner on the regular, and I wanted to try to get more use out of this brown. So I have found a lot of ways to incorporate use out of this. Sometimes I do just a brown wing, or other times I'll just use this on my lower lash line in conjunction with my black liquid liner. So I have been getting a lot of good use out of this. But I feel like it's time to roll this out. I think this is coming up expired, even though like it has a little bit of product left. I can still hear a little bit, but I'm gonna call this done. I'm rolling this one out. And in its place, I'm gonna roll in the brown from this duo set. I got this duo set like after the Christmas holiday during a sale, and I've already started using the black one. I've been using the black one for probably about a month. So I'm gonna roll in the brown one and have both of these in my project. No, the black one is not in my project. It's just, you know, being an honorable mention because I always reach for the black. I'm gonna roll in a full-sized new brown in place of the mini. I almost forgot my nose contour. I do have a little bit of a dip starting to go here. Can you see? You can kind of see a ridge there in the middle from where I have been running my brush down, and then I use this for my nose contour. So I'm hoping to get to see some pan in this within the next couple of months. I don't do my nose contour every single day, and nose contour was never really a thing that I did before, but I share why I started doing that in the intro video, so if you're curious, check it out there. But since I am doing my nose contour now because of this in the project, I have been doing it most days, but I'm not doing it. But I forgot to do it today, so that's where we're at so far on my nose contour compact, on my nose contour product, and the mascara. I had this Bad Gal Bang in the project. I had it open. When I started the project, I think I had this in maybe about 3 to 4 weeks. So it had about 2 months to go on the shelf life before it was going to need to be replaced. I did use this product the full lifespan, and then I tossed it. So I rolled this tube out and I rolled in another one. I replaced it with another Bad Gal Bang, and I used this for the next 3 months, and then that is expired now. So I recently rolled this out probably about 10 days ago, honestly. My dog is sleeping so good. I'm sorry that he's snoring. I hope that doesn't disturb you. I think it's the cutest little thing, but that's because I love him. So anyways, he's always going to be in my videos until, unfortunately, he might not be able to. So, what? I got distracted on a sad thought. He's dreaming. So if you hear whimpering and stuff, it's dreaming. Anyhow, so I rolled in a new Bad Gal Bang. I used that for 3 months. It expired. I've now rolled that out. So I've got 2 mascara empties in this project so far. And I'm going to roll in my Milani Anti-Gravity mascara. This is a new mascara for me to try, and I want to continue to get use out of it and really get to know it and finish it up. It's probably got about 2 more months to go. So, but this is oh, twice. But this is the one that's going in the project. So I'm rolling in my Anti-Gravity in place of the mascara that I've already rolled 2 out of, but that was just 1 slot in the project. So this is going in. And for the eyeshadows, here's my Lila palette that's in the project. My goal was to get more use out of this palette, which I did. I've used it about 5 times, which is actually a lot more than I had reached for it in a very long time. So I call that a success. But it would be nice for me to get a lot more use out of this palette. But I'm gonna go ahead and roll it out. In its place, I'm gonna roll in my Natasha Denona Purple Blue. Blue Purple, whatever. Blue Purple 28. Here is what my palette looks like. I have had this palette maybe a year almost. And as you can see, I haven't even used every single shade yet. So I want to try to reach for this, especially since we're going into like spring and summer and I'm doing a lot more colorful looks again instead of like deeper, darker, wintry fall looks, even though this palette could be year round. I'm just saying, I feel like these blues and purples, this is the perfect time of year for me to reach for this more often, maybe like in conjunction with my other palettes or whatever. So I'm going to roll this palette in and try to get a lot more use out of this because I really hardly ever reach for this. And that's a shame. So rolling out the Lila and rolling in the purple blue. For my last update, we've got the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette in the shade Light. I put this one in to try to see if I would get a lot of use out of this so that then I could justify getting the pink one. But as such, I really only use this including today. This is the palette that I am wearing today. So this is the eye look that I created with it for today. But even including today, I've only used this like 4 times. And I haven't even reached for the cream products in here, like even without the eyeshadow part. So that's why I didn't buy the Natasha Denona Pink, the Love Face Glam palette, because until I get a lot more use out of this, I really just can't let myself do that. I've got to have some boundaries with myself, right? Anyway, so this palette is going to stay in the project because I want to keep getting use out of it. And every time I use it, I really love the way that it looks. So that's it. Wait, I had one more. And as for, I can't remember. I think I did have a lipstick in the project. This portion is being added after I started editing the rest of the video, but I forgot to include a couple of items. So very quickly, I want to update you on my setting spray. I forgot the setting spray. The setting spray started off at about the top of the F, and I am now down to here. So I would say I've gotten good use out of this, and probably some of it has just evaporated. And then for the all-nighter, which this is more of a fixing spray. For my setting spray, I had this about a third of the way empty when it started in the project, and I can tell by, I guess this is why people weigh things like to be official. I'm gonna have to get some of the equipment so I can make my next update more official. Anyway, this feels like it's about a third of the way left. So it feels like it's about right here, give or take a little bit. So I would say I've made good progress. I've been regularly using this item. And I almost forgot. I mean, I did forget technically. And I forgot about my concealer, another item that I have really good progress on. When we started the project, the fill line was really at the top. It was a brand new concealer. You can see pretty good usage out of this item so far. I'm gonna need to mark that and keep up with it because that makes it more exciting to see. But the last item in the update is my Bridgerton lipstick. This is in the shade Veiled Rose. I have gotten some good use out of this, but I'm using it less frequently now because I'm trying to use most of my collection. now, so I'm using this less often. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, those were all of the updates. Now back to the final bit of the video. It's all the updates that I've currently got going in my panning 23 in 23. So that's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed those updates. I'm going to make it a point to update next time a little bit sooner. So instead of waiting 4 months for the next update, I plan to update in about 2 months. So thank you again, Stacy, for collabing with me on this video. I really appreciate the accountability that it afforded me, and it got me to finally get this video filmed and up. So thank you so much for that. I had so much fun collabing with you. Don't forget, guys, to go check out Stacy's channel and let her know that I sent you. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click the thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed so that we can hang out again. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Try one more time. They're talking back to me. It's like they hear me through the window because I got the window open. It's a beautiful day.